All right, urgent is Bitcoin's crash coming? This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name's Neo. Let's get into it. So we're looking at Bitcoin is trying to hold above this black trend line. We are getting a little bit of support. However, we could see similar to this blue pattern where we get a little bit of a push up, may get some rejection on this downward orange trend line, and it may crash further, potentially down to 97. If that does not happen and we push up to 108 and then break and hold above that, it has a higher potential to start this kind of momentum. With that being said, we're looking at the rest of the market. BNT, it had its rejection at this black downward trend line, some support here around 0.63, which is the 0.5 on the Fibonacci retracement over here in the green. It's still holding above the 200 EMA. Depending on what Bitcoin does, we may see this as well push back up towards the 0.69, maybe even retest this downward trend line. What we really want to see is BNT break this trend line and hold, and then we start seeing that movement upwards back towards $1. If that does not happen, we could use the Fibonacci from this point up, and we could see a 618 retracement being at 0.4949. LCX. LCX is starting to build a little bit of consolidation. It's looking a little bit better than it has been the past couple days. We could move that trend line to be support. It's around the 50 on the RSI to keep in mind. However, this could still push lower depending on what Bitcoin does. But if we see this support, we've seen over here back in November where it had a major pump after that. But it does have quite a bit of resistance to be breaking through to start seeing some major movement. XYO still being wonky. I believe it's going to keep forming downwards in this downward trend line right here. Similar to what we were looking at on XCN. It broke this darker trend line and started forming downwards like we saw in Prime. So we could see this trail out for a little while longer before eventually pushing upwards, which makes me think that the Bitcoin market is going to be dropping a little bit more, but having a little bit of consolidation for the next couple of days as we are entering June. Quant is one I've been looking at heavily. We had an entry at $75. We are currently at 106, so it's a pretty nice increase in price, and we increased more right around the $100 mark when it was testing this trend line. And as soon as it broke over that trend line, we saw a major pump up to 118, and it is getting a nice consolidation. It's wicking out here in the daily, showing some more support as the CM guppy is turning more into a fire element rather than liquid water pushing it downwards. However, deciding what Bitcoin is going to be doing, it can further form downwards within these two black trend lines. However, I believe overall we are going to get more support around the 95 to 100 area. I don't believe we are going to be retesting back into the 0.618 below this black trend line. That is possible, but eventually we are going to be pushing over this as it's still holding over the 200 EMA, which is bullish momentum. The CM guppy is holding some support, which can be pushing this back up to 120 and then 138 and 140 area. But Quant is actually looking really nice. $100 right now, its all-time high is over $1,000. That is 10x your money if you put in $100 at this moment. Keeping that in mind, we're jumping to XRP. XRP is still forming out the inverse head and shoulders like I've been talking about for the past month. But it is entering June. June 17th is going to be an important day, or I believe June 12th, a little bit earlier, somewhere in this time frame. We're going to start seeing some bullish momentum as it's still holding over the 200 EMA, as well as this black trend line is trying to hold as support. And with XCN, when we remove all the stuff that's on the graph, you can see it is not looking the most bullish. However, it is in a cup and handle pattern in the long run. It's holding over the 200 EMA, but when we put on all the stuff I have on here, we can see that this black trend line is the resistance, this black trend line is the support, and when you compare what this is looking like, those two black trend lines, and you look at a downward wedge pattern, all very similar. You can see it's got the downward wedge here, and then once it breaks over, it retests that upward down trend line, uses it as support, and then takes off. And that's what I believe is going to be happening with XCN. Also, I wanted to bring up White Rock again, BlackRock's cryptocurrency. It is starting to get some indecision where it has this massive wick up off at the top, massive wick at the bottom. I believe it could be holding this previous high when we're looking at this. This would be the previous high. And if it can hold above that support, I believe we're going to have a continuation upward. When you're looking at the percent profit from these past couple of days, it went up over 438%. Had a retracement and is currently sitting around still a 200% increase. It can have that deduction like it had back here, but overall it's pretty bullish as BlackRock is a major corporation that is now creating its own cryptocurrency called White Rock. GRT, building some support. It's not looking too bad like it has been for the past couple of weeks. We could consider that support. We could consider that support. Usually when it breaks that, it's a sell. But if Bitcoin starts to increase and we see a higher volume in GRT right around here, we could see it push back up to this trend line, break it, and eventually hold over that 200 EMA, looking for a better entry on GRT. And the last one I'm bringing up is Tornado. We got in around at 750, and it hasn't came back down to where we had entered. It is up at 950 right now, but an all-time high of over $400. So turning $10 into $400 is not a bad bet for Tornado. That's it for today. All the reference links for MEXC Grass token if you want free airdrop money, and Coinbase free airdrop tokens. They are in the reference links below, as well as Roller Coin if you want some passive income just playing dumb games. That's it for today. I will see you guys on the next one.